What's up guys, in today's video we're going to talk about chest training, in particular the inner chest, so the inner section of our chest. A lot of people ask me, oh Mike, how do you get really well developed inner pec? What are the best exercises you can do? I want to iron out a few myths because there's quite a lot of misinformation out there, misconceptions, and it's getting to the point where it's doing my head in, so I want to clear things up for you guys. Okay, so first of all, let's have a clear look at the actual pectoral muscles themselves. So we may as well use myself and get the top off and take a closer look at what we are dealing with here. So as you can see, we've got a rather chesty individual in front of you, and what we're looking at here is obviously the pectoral muscles themselves originate from the sternum and the clavicle here. So this is the point of origin. The point of insertion is going to be here around the humerus, and all the fibers run across in this direction. Okay, what is the purpose of the pec muscle? What does it do? It basically just brings the arm across your chest like that. Okay, that's all it does. And when you're doing that, all of the fibers are basically shortening. That's all a muscle can do. Okay, it can only lengthen and shorten. So one of the biggest misconceptions is that people think that you can train a certain portion of the chest, like, oh no, I'm going to directly train this section of my pecs. You can't do that. Okay, you can only lengthen and shorten the muscle. But what you can do is you can actually try and focus on which section of the chest you want to try and recruit. Okay, you can't just isolate purely lower or purely mid or purely upper, but you can try to place more of the tension in a specific region. Now I thought I'd do a little bit of an experiment and Google or YouTube inner chest exercise or inner pec exercise and just see what comes up. And there's quite a few videos out there by, you know, well-established guys, I guess, within the fitness YouTube community who are promoting this idea that the best exercises, or there are specific exercises which are going to help to build the inner chest, right? And a lot of them tend to be examples of exercises where it's single arm and you bring the arm right across your torso, okay? Because they're trying to emphasize the fact that when you do this, oh look, you can see more of the inner pec come up when you really bring your arm across, so therefore it's going to help build up this area, which isn't the case. Okay, when you bring your arm across, okay, further than this point, right across here, and you start to see all the fibers bunch up and cause that striation effect, you're just shortening the pectoral even more. You're bringing it into its shortened, fully shortened position. Okay, something which you can't do if you're doing a dumbbell press or a barbell press in particular. The range of motion is restricted because your hands can't really come closer than this point. But a single arm, you can shorten the pec much more. But that doesn't mean that you're going to target the inner chest more. It just means you're going to shorten the muscle more. What is going to help bring out your inner chest, okay, this region here? Two things: lowering your body fat percentage and just increasing the overall size of your chest, right? So that means building up the fibers in your lower pec, mid pec, and upper pec. Okay, if you actually increase the overall size of your chest, you will notice that the fibers are going to come to the origin point and they'll cause that kind of canyon effect, right? The bigger the muscle, the steeper and deeper the canyon is going to be. And the same thing goes for body fat. This is going to seem a little bit weird, but I need to do this to show you an example. Probably the first YouTuber who's done this using a slice of ham. This slice of ham is going to represent body fat, right? So let's say, for example, my body fat is higher or someone's body fat is higher, right? Let's just imagine, right, that this is body fat. I know it doesn't really match my skin, really is quite far off, but let's say you got a couple of millimeters of body fat which is going to be covering your overall torso. When that is the case, it's going to have this smoothing over effect across your chest, okay, which is going to reduce the overall appearance of having that inner chest, yeah, because you've got a layer of fat over it. Whereas when you bring your body fat percentage down lower and lower and lower, which I've done in the past to outrageously low percentages, you will notice your inner chest just looks ridiculous, okay? Everything is massively striated. You don't even need to have a huge amount of upper or mid pec development. The fact that your body fat is so low gives off the appearance that you have a ridiculously, you know, chiseled inner chest. And another very important point which I need to make is, if you want to have a full, well-rounded, developed chest, you need to overload the fibers at different points in the movement. So overload the chest in the lengthened position, and overload the chest in the shortened position. So that basically means when you're doing a dumbbell press or barbell press or any traditional press, you'll often find that it's easiest at the top of the movement. Because of gravity, there's not as much tension. So when the pec's shortened, there's minimal tension or not as much. So I will often use bands, or I will use fly variations using the pec deck or using cables, or I'll even use chains when it comes to doing barbell pressing, okay? Using all these different strategies is going to help to overload the pecs at different points in the movement and to help build that well-rounded 3D chest. Now you might be asking, oh well Mike, does that mean that doing single arm variations that some of these other YouTubers are doing, is that a complete waste of time? I don't think it's a complete waste of time. I think it can help, like I said before, to overload the shortened position, and it can also help improve the mind-muscle connection, because some people have a very hard time trying to squeeze the pecs when there's not too much tension whenever they're doing like a dumbbell fly or a dumbbell press. So they're not a waste of time, but I don't think they're as effective as some of the key compound exercises. You just have to get very good at executing them. All right, I've done the single arm movements from time to time, but I'm not a huge fan. I like sticking to the exercises which are proven to work. So there's a few key things which I want you to take away from this video and just have it stuck in your head, right? There are no specific exercises or magical exercises out there which are going to just focus on the inner pec. That's not how the muscle works, right? So remember that. Second point, if you want to have a well-rounded, visual, aesthetic, Mariana Trench-like inner chest, you need to build up the overall pectoral muscle, okay, lower, mid, and upper. You need to have a big chest. The bigger the chest, the greater the groove or the canyon-like effect when it comes to getting that inner chest separation. And the final thing you need to keep in mind is your body fat percentage. So the lower your body fat percentage, the more visual, the more apparent your inner chest is, the greater the separation. Okay, so keep those things in mind. Hopefully that's cleared a few things up for you. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon.